Okay, so a while back I had my first community post, that I made myself, about what type FIC I should do next, and majority of you who decided to voted for what if the Omnitrix was sentient. And that video has already been made, so go check it out if you haven't heard it, and maybe subscribe to the channel. Okay, shameless plug aside, I made another post on what fanfic I should do next. Those fics were: what if Deku became the ghost of Japan? The title was self-explanatory, and the second FIC was what if the Powerpuff Girls were born in MHA. And to my shock, the latter won the post, so those who voted for this FIC to be upload, congratulations, this your reward for your patience. This fanfic was made by B1AC0OOT. Make sure to follow their stories and give them some support, because there is only 9 chapters to this series, so approximately 3 videos I can make with the available chapters. So after this FIC I'm going to put out another community post that isn't MHA related, and after I'm done with that I'm going to try to get those videos out with my brand new editing app. Editor's note: I decided that I'm going to split this part into 2 parts. The next part of this video will be uploaded tomorrow. But before you start complaining on why I cut it in half, you ask. Well, take a look at the screen. What does it says too? Well, it says that about 72.5% of you are not subscribed and the rest are. So guys, just for me, please like, subscribe, and make sure you turn on your notifications. Back before bedtime. Chapter 1. Running a hand through his curly green locks, Izuku Midoriya continued to scribble his pencil against the notebook as he noted down another potential formula. His work, well, the work for a secret villain, was the only thing keeping him and his mother alive. The boy never thought trying to find a way to get a quirk would end up discovering an ancient evil who had ruled the underworld for lifetimes on the dark web. In the middle of the night, he was taken from his home and brought before the scariest person alive. He used to think Kacchan was scary. Oh, how wrong he was. Izuku thought he was going to be killed, never to return home. But the man was unusually talkative for a villain, and questioned lots of things. Being quirkless wasn't an easy topic for him to talk about, but it seemed to be this man's favorite topic. To him, the idea of a quirkless teenager, no, he wasn't a kid, he was 15, damn it, seemed completely foreign to him. The man, calling himself All for One, laughed. Izuku felt very disturbed by it, but he was alive, so he listened to the man's story. There was some brief excitement hearing that he was All Might's nemesis, and that's why he was hooked up to so many machines, but All Might thought he was dead. Not good. All for One had time to plan, to gather his strength, and find a way to defeat the man. All for One even offered him a quirk, but who in their right mind would accept an offer from a supervillain? No way did he want to seem useful for All for One, after all he was Deku. Nope. Apparently the man saw his notebooks and all his analysis and decided to introduce him to someone he thought he wouldn't meet again. The doctor that diagnosed him quirkless. It felt satisfying knowing the man who gave Izuku the news that crushed his dreams was evil. He couldn't directly lie, or play stupid, and so somehow he ended up being an apprentice under the man towards artificial quirk study, creation, splicing, and so much more. Izuku thrived in the new environment, so much to learn, teachers that actually wanted him to succeed, but worst of all, no time to analyze heroes. Turns out, all that time he spent towards that could have been used actually studying. Now, sitting on a squeaky stool as he jotted down another potential approach to the towering beast floating in a nutritional tank. Technically it was complete. A man turned into a monster with black skin, scars, an exposed brain, no eyelids, and a beak full of razor-sharp teeth. Wiping against his baggy eyes, Izuku had to keep working under the lamplight. His diligence earned him some trust, and he was allowed to work without direct supervision. UA had already started. The hero students were going to be away from the main campus. An army of villains would greet them in just a few days with bioweapon designed to defeat All Might. He needed to get his work done fast. One to fight the Nomu. One to help him get his work out of the hands of villains and away from All for One. One to get his mother. Each one needed a different approach of personality to best accomplish their roles. They couldn't even have proper quirks, or else they would be rendered powerless to All for One. But, instead of corrupting people and shoving quirks into their bodies, Izuku would create the perfect little heroes. Katsuki was really pissed off. First, All Might wasn't here, which was a bummer. Then Shitty Hair kept following him around and saying manly manly all over again. Then he had to listen to some dumbass speech from some low-ranked rescue hero about how quirks are dangerous. No shit, that's how they're going to beat up villains. Speaking of villains, a bunch of wannabe thugs showed up declaring they were here to kill All Might. Now, he had to deal with a bunch of weak-ass lowlifes as he exploded each and every one of them away. Boom. Swiping his hand towards another weakling, his quirk exploded from his palm and detonated the man towards the wall of the empty building. Bakugo Katsuki, future #1 hero, was stuck with the horrible die job for the redhead that punched another person with a semi-decent hardening quirk. Hey, Shitty Hair called out, raising his knuckles from the defeated villain under him. We should meet up with the others. Who knows what? Screw that, Katsuki screamed back, marching towards the exit of the ruins area. I'm gonna shove one of these. He flexed an arm, explosions popping in his hand. In that damn wispy ass's mouth. Charging the leaders head on. Now that's manly. Shut up. If he had to hear the word manly one more time. What the hell was with the freaky featherless bird? Oh shit, was that their teacher? True enough, the man who was in charge of them, Aizawa Shota aka Eraserhead, was lying prone on the ground, the beast holding the man's arm while stepping on his back. Twisting the arm, the monster broke Eraserhead's arm with a sickening crack. Ah, the pro hero cried out in pain, some skinny guy covered in hands laughing like a maniac to the side. Bakugo had to give Eraserhead some respect, seeing an army of villains in the center of the USJ knocked out. Besides the freaky beak one, Hansi and Purple Shit were still standing. Good, Bakugo had a debt of Whoopus to repay. Bakugo sprinted ahead, using his explosions to propel him even faster towards the scene. First, explode the one breaking his teacher. Next, kill the teleporter. Finally, kill the creep that was mumbling towards the ugly son of a bitch. Bakugo recoiled, seeing the razor teeth of the ugly villain right in front of him in an instant. Before he could bring his hands forward to detonate that disgusting face away in. A mountain of ice encased it, halting a fist from meeting his side. Bakugo was saved, and that was infuriating. Oi, he screamed out towards Peppermint Boy. That was my kill. I didn't realize we were keeping track. A boy with half of his side covered in ice approached, his white hair and single gray eye watching his movements. Nomu. Handjob spoke out while scratching his flaky neck. Kill them. To their horror, the Nomu began to break out of its icy prison. Chunks of it shattering to reveal bleeding flesh that quickly filled the gaps. What? The absolute foo. It moved again, slapping Kirishima aka Shitty Hair to the side before they could process it. It raised both its fists above Bakugo and Todoroki, ready to pulverize them into the ground as they moved their fastest to try and intercept. Phew. A streak of green light rushed past his vision, taking the Nomu with it. The two of them crashed through the concrete, a trail of destruction following them. The Nomu rested on its back, the impassive face not able to express the confusion on what happened. Alright, you big monster. A small girl with short black hair, green eyes with a matching dress with a single black horizontal line across the stomach, stood atop the Nomu with an angry glare. Not exactly intimidating anyone with her being a little girl. Prepare to get your butt whooped by yours truly. She spoke again, punching the Nomu square in the chest with a massive boom. Kurogiri, the Hansi villain, asked the teleporter. Is this some kind of glitch with the characters? I'm afraid not, Tamura. The purple swirling mass was stuck staring at the sight. That is indeed a little girl. Who are you calling little? She spun around, pointing right at Kurogiri. Oh, it's you. You're the one who kidnapped the professor for your evil boss. Guys. Kirishima rose his head from the crater he resided in. Did I get hit too hard or? I see it too. Todoroki stepped forward, frost rising off his right side. We're heroes, right? We don't let little girls fight our battles. Stop calling me little. The green-themed girl screamed out, holding the Nomu by the back of his neck and throwing him to the side. She shouldn't have heard him from that far away without a hearing quirk. So she had a quirk that gave her strength and good hearing. Finally snapping out of his slump, Katsuki charged forward, ready to take on the villains and not be showed up by a freaky child. Bam! Said child was punched head-on to crash into the boat in another zone of the USJ. Ah great, now somebody really did die. He didn't want to think about what bloody state she would be in, he focused on the kid flying out of the sinking ship with 2 of his classmates. Oh ho ho ho, it is so on. In another streak of green light, she flew to place Froggy and Grappus next to him, and charged right back to the Nomu, landing another powerful punch. It slid back, staring at the floating kid. Hold on. Half and Half paused as he watched the Nomu shrug off the direct blow. It has a regeneration quirk, so how can it take those hits? It's not Nomu's only quirk. Tamura bragged. Shock absorption, super regeneration, not even your freaky little girl can. The streak of green shot towards Tamura, only for the Nomu to block the hit for its master. The girl glared at the beast, her eyes locking on its head and *ZAAAP. Red beams emitted from her eyes, burning the Nomu's face. It recoiled, blocking the beams with its hand and slapping the girl away. Crash. The students watched, slightly dumbfounded at the sight. Is she okay? Asui Suyu, the girl who looked like a frog with that green color scheme, big OL eyes, long tongue that slightly hung out of her mouth. He didn't want to think about what sick person would screw a frog. Well, you wouldn't think so after the first hit. Todoroki began, watching as said girl shot back and punched the Nomu straight in the gut. But she seems durable. How old is she? The short one wearing a diaper asked, only to get smacked by Asui's tongue. They watched in stupor as the trail of green followed the girl as she raced around the Nomu, pummeling it with constant barrages of attacks. Kill it already, Tamura screeched, the Nomu flailing around trying to catch the annoyance to it. I believe we are in a stalemate. Kurogiri spoke, also watching the scene. Think again bitch. Katsuki exploded towards the Warper villain, ready to pin him down and you've got to be shitting me. The explosive blonde screamed out as a streak of pink rushed past his eyes, taking the teleporter with it. Now standing above a prone Kurogiri, was another little girl. This one had ginger hair with a big red bow on her long hair draped over her back. The pink eyes matched her dress that was designed the same way as the green one. You're going nowhere, Kurogiri. Hey, Katsuki screamed out at the child. That was my kill. She stared at Katsuki, blinked, and then proceeded to ignore him as she looked towards the green one. I got the professor somewhere safe. Have you seen our sister yet? Not. Boom asterisk. Yet, who the hell are you? Tamura asked, standing over the girl who was restraining Kurogiri. I don't have a name yet, she admitted, then quirking her head as she re-examined the man before her. Hey, you're the creepy guy with the disintegration quirk, right? Yeah, let me show you. Tamura then placed a hand on the girl's head, something probably supposed to happen. Wow, you really are cool, Eraserhead. The handsy man looked towards the hero, who was staring at them with red eyes. He kept a tight hold on the girl's head as Tamura waited for the man's quirk to give out. The hair fell, the red vanishing. Now, the hero got to watch a child die right in front of. Excuse me. The girl grabbed his hand in her crushing grip, taking it off her head. You tried to use your quirk, right? Yeah, sorry. She smiled as she flew up to his eye level. But I mean, the professor made us immune to your quirk. Made you? Tamura growled, before being punched in the face by the floating child. Katsuki stood there, trying to understand the sight before him. Not one, but 2 little girls kept beating up the villains. That was his job. Oi you little shits, you better stop kicking ass before I kick you. Excuse me. A soft-spoken voice came from behind, Katsuki slowly turning to see another little girl with blonde hair wrapped into pigtails, blue eyes and another matching dress. Hi, so, I was wondering if you would be okay going to the entrance. Pretty please. We're trying to beat up the bad guys and keep you safe. She smiled innocently at him, Katsuki feeling his anger boiling to the surface. Fuck you. Her smile fell, her lips quivering as she whimpered. Those eyes started tearing up, until she finally put her face in her hands and started to cry. Good job, you made a child cry. Todoroki approached, giving Katsuki the stink eye. There, Asui soothed the girl, he's just a jerk. Don't listen to him. Yeah, let's get you out of here. Kirishima came forward, trying to guide the child away. Hey, 2 darts of green and pink sped over, the first 2 girls hovering angrily next to Katsuki. What's your problem? The green-dressed one yelled at him. Yeah, Pink agreed. She was just trying to help you. I don't need anyone's help. Bakugo yelled at them, turning back to the villains. I can beat these guys all on my own. Just let him go. The green one folded her arms. He'll just get beaten up anyways. That's not what the professor asked us to do. Pink reminded her, we have to beat the Nomu and save All Might and the students. Wait, save All Might? Kirishima asked. If he was here, he would beat those guys and Q3 streaks flashed before them, a booming noise erupting right beside the students. The three girls had the Nomu in their grip, his fist inches away from Asui's face. Come on girls. The pink one called out to them. Let's take care of this guy. They flew off with the Nomu, a rush of wind following them to the other side of the USJ. Tamura stood next to Kurogiri, who was currently getting up. Tamura, we need to leave. Kurogiri warned. Not until we kill at least one of those brats. He hissed, flexing his fingers. I don't think that is wise. The heroes could be here any second and with our boom, the Nomu rocketed over to the wall of the USJ, leaving a sizable indent into it. Pink, blue, and green streaks flew over to hover over the Nomu. Our punches aren't working, the green-dressed girl said. Maybe we can try hugging it. Blue offered gently. Wait, look at that. Pink pointed at the burnt spot on its face. How did it get that injury? Oh, that's when I lasered its face. The green one smirked in triumph, throwing a fist into her palm. That's it girls, the pink one confidently stated. It can't heal burns. Sorry Mr. Monster Man. Blue apologized. But we have to laser you now. Asterisk ZAL APPP asterisk all three of the little girls brutally shot out beams of red-hot energy from their eyes, digging deeply into the Nomu. It cried out in pain as it was being burned alive, a scorching hole burrowing into its chest. Stop them. Tamura commanded Kurogiri, who opened a portal to take the Nomu away from their grasps. It landed before them, unmoving as smoke arose from its wound. Damn it. Tamura scratched his neck, staring at the dead Nomu. Damn it. He kicked the limp creature, seething as he glared at the cause of his defeat. You cheaters. The three girls just floated there, looking between each other seemingly confused by the statement. We didn't cheat though, right? The blonde one asked the other two. We can't cheat because this isn't a game. The ginger one then set her sights on the leader of the villains. Yeah, the raven-haired girl smirked, holding up her fists. Bad guys get their butts kicked. And I see a couple of them right now. Stop stealing my thunder. Bakugo screamed at the top of his lungs. The steel doors of the USJ were blown in, flying Intel crashing through the other wall. It's all right everyone, why? The girls all smiled, looking at the entrance with excitement. The muscular man himself, the number one hero, All Might stood there in his yellow pinstripe suit, ripping off his tie as he took a few steps forward. I thought the professor said he always smiled. The blonde girl whispered to the others. Yeah. The girl dressed in green looked between them, but he still looks awesome. They're getting away. Pointing towards the villains being surrounded by purple clouds, the ginger one tried to alert them. Unfortunately, they vanished in thin air to who knows where. A rush of wind alerted them to something behind them, the girls looking back and seeing All Might cradle the broken hero laying on the ground. I'm sorry I'm late. Just get me to a hospital, Eraserhead said before passing out. All Might stood straight, turning around and seeing three floating girls smiling at him. Putting back on his smile for the kids, he did his best to comfort them. Why were there little girls here? Hello there young ones. All Might greeted them. What are you doing here? All Might. They all cheered, flying around him with smiles on their faces. All of them spoke, crowding the man's hearings as they rambled on and on about different things. Is it true you can level buildings in a single punch? Does your agency have a special insurance fund for handling collateral damage? Do you like unicorns? Ah, The man looked over to the students standing nearby, the steaming Bakugo next to some others. Please handle them as I wrap things up. All Might dashed off, rushing to bring Eraserhead to proper medical care. With his swift speed, he should be able to. Hey there Mr. Might. The blonde girl with a blue dress greeted him as she flew at the same speed he ran. Is it okay if we get you to sign something for our professor? He's a big fan. Yeah. The raven-haired one in a green outfit spoke to his right. And you should have seen me earlier. There was a big one and I went bam. And then he flew to the other side of the building, so then I went wham. It was my idea on how to beat it. The third one spoke from above. I think a tactical approach is best for handling villains designed with multiple quirks and All Might's eyes widened, hoping that was just the conjurations of a child's imagination. Speeding into the halls of the school, he entered the nurse's office and rested Eraserhead on the nearest bed. Chio. He glanced to the elderly woman with the doctor's coat. I leave him in your care. What exactly is happening? She groaned, but understood the importance of getting the broken hero some medical attention. That's what I'm about to find out. All Might then turned to the still hyperactive girls who were still trying to get his attention. Excuse me. Yes, All Might. All of them spoke at once, listening attentively. Where are you parents? Gasped the ginger one, slapped her hands to her face. We need to make sure that the professor is okay. You're right. The blonde one panicked. And his mom. Let's go. The green one charged off, flying back from where they came from with her similar-looking friends. All Might was about to launch after them, but he felt his body disagree with him. Steam hovered off his form as his muscular frame shrunk down to his skeletal form. You need to manage your time more wisely, the nurse said as she reset some of Eraserhead's bones. I need to figure out who those girls are. The shrunken form of All Might coughed into his sleeve, small droplets of blood flying onto his shirt. And what the hell happened in my absence? The sky held 3 streaks of color, pink, blue, and green as the 3 little girls flew towards their destination. In a discarded train yard, they flew directly towards a dark green container sitting on one of the rusty rails. Giving a small knock on the side of it, the door to the container slowly opened with a scared plump woman with emerald hair and eyes peeked out. Oh, it's you. And you brought friends. Hello. The blonde waved cheerfully. We beat up the bad guys. Mom, let them in, a tired voice spoke from behind the woman. The mother opening the door enough to let the girls float inside. Dad. All of them barreled into Izuku's arms. The skinny teen wearing a lab coat smiled as he held them all. Dad, we did it. The raven-haired one piped up. I punched the Nomu so hard he flew across the building. We saved them all. The ginger butted in. No one was hurt. Well, the blonde hesitantly started. The hobo was hurt, but All Might showed up and took him to a doctor. That was a nurse. The raven-haired one corrected. She was dressed like a doctor. It was a nurse's office. There can be doctors in nurses' offices. Izuku chuckled, seeing them bicker between one another like real people. That was probably Recovery Girl. While she's UA's nurse, she is also a doctor. Izuku. The mother came from behind. W, where have you been all this time? W, who are these children? Why are we hiding in an abandoned train yard? Mom. Izuku let the girls hug his side as he looked towards them. I was kidnapped and forced to work for someone really bad. I needed a way to escape, but I couldn't be obvious about it. So, I hid my plan in my work. These are, well, my creations. She paled, looking at him, then the girls, and back again. WW, who is the mother? We don't have one. The ginger stated simply. Yeah, the professor made us in a lab last night. The blonde one smiled happily. He made us so we can be heroes. The girl in the green dress cheered. Inko Midoriya, mother of Izuku Midoriya, was unsure just what exactly was happening. In her experience dealing with children, it was best to start with something simple. Oh, okay, what are your names? The 3 little girls glanced between one another before answering truthfully. We don't have any. Give us names. The blue-dressed one squeezed Izuku tighter, then flew up to be right in front of him. Yeah, what are our names? The ginger with equal excitement flew up to his face. I wanna have a cool one. The one in a green outfit flew up. Izuku held his hands forward. Okay, let's see. I need to make sure I pick the perfect names for my perfect girls. He gently smiled at his perfect little heroes, seeing their happy faces on their unharmed bodies. He might have gone a little far, giving them as many powers as possible, including an immunity to as much as possible. Some would call it overkill, some would call him mad. But he would call them Blossom. He patted the ginger's head. Bubbles. He brushed his finger against the blonde's cheek. And Buttercup. He finished, ruffling the raven hair on the last girl. The Powdercup girls. Needs a better name.